Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trips and Traps. And this is the February 4th episode of Trips and Traps. Sort of hard. I couldn't remember if it was January, February. Anyway, I'm Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan. We're going to be taking a look at 6 races from last week's 4-day week at Aqueduct.
And we don't have any races to show you from Thursday, so we're going to go right to Friday's card and show you the 8th race from Friday. This was a 3-year-old filly race, a non-winners of 1 allowance for New York breds going a mile. We're most interested in the number 2, She's Prime, in here. She's Prime was the 7-5 favorite in this race, but I also like the way a couple long shots ran in here, the 9 Crafty Shock and the 8 Sister Speed.
Yeah, Crafty Shock, the 9, did break a little bit slowly there, but She's Prime is on the inside, as we'll show you here, and we'll show all 3 of them. She's Prime on the inside, and that's her right on the rail. She has trouble in the first turn. Yellow Silk, you've got Sister Speed outside of her, Crafty Shock. But She's Prime, who's getting an inside tuck going in the first turn, I don't think she wants any part of it.
Now, she seemed a little bit uncomfortable being in this kind of position going into the turn with some horses right in front of her. Tries to get out a little bit there to get away. You know, always a tough deal going into that first turn for horses here on the inner track, because so much of the race can change. Now, She's Prime was in a spot where, you know, she looked like she was going to be in that second pack of horses down the rail. Instead, she's about 5th here, you know, in behind horses and just not in a very comfortable spot.
She's never comfortable, and this is an interesting race because you had an enormous amount of speed on paper. Now, one horse zooms off the lead, and everybody else is rating a little bit. And notice some races last week where we saw a lot more rating than we had seen earlier in the meet, where we didn't have as competitive a lot of paces as we had seen earlier in the meet. A little surprised by that. I can understand why nobody wanted to go with the 85 to 1 shot in the lead, and of course, Lock and Sherdo was the co-favorite in this race. She showed that she can't go long unless she gets the lead. Look for her to cut back. But She's Prime is behind horses. Of course, Sister Speed's outside of her, and ranging up on the far side is Crafty Shock. They make the wide premature moves, the big sweep. She's Prime. It's not a bad idea what she's doing sitting behind horses, but of course she never ever gets comfortable.
Right, that's part of the problem, is that while these other 2 horses that were showing the long shots, Sister Speed and Crafty Shock, make this wide premature move. You know, not a bad spot that She's Prime is in, even though she's steady, lost a couple lengths in the turn there. At least she wasn't forced into making that wide move. But here she comes wide again here, and she just never really gets a clear run until late in the stretch.
Yeah, I don't think she lost that many. Maybe she lost a little position. What happens, though, with Kiss and Fly is the 3 outside her. She keeps her locked in here, and that seems to irritate She's Prime even more. But now she gets out in the clear, and she's not exactly motoring. Now, inside of her is the winner, and you see her come over on the eventual winner of this race. And the winner got a great ride by Chavez. Saved ground, sat in the back, and took full advantage of the absolute collapse and the premature moves by some other horses in this race. But, of course, She's Prime, when she gets out, you know, she makes the late run, and she probably ran best, but she just acted weird. And let's watch what happens in the stretch.
She's Prime right there, and behind horses, Rajiv Mirage desperately looking for a way to get outside, and you know, finally does get outside here. You know, he puts She's Prime into a heavy drive. Angles are in a little bit there, and you see She's Prime bump with Lily of Paradise. So even if She's Prime did win this race, I'm pretty sure she would have been taken down in the spot here. Lily of Paradise kind of gets on through that spot there and gets on for the victory. But certainly She's Prime affected by the circumstances of the race, and considering everything too, I really thought Crafty Shock ran an excellent race here. I mean, Crafty Shock was only beaten probably about, what, 2 lengths in here, maybe, something like that?
Not even, maybe. I'm not even sure. And she made the widest and the premature move. I agree. Crafty Shock might be the interesting horse out of this race. She's Prime. I'm not so sure about her. I don't think she showed a real comfortability in rating. I mean, it's one thing when she can get off in a loose lead, or she can comfortably sit outside another sort of mediocre speed. But when she was forced to put herself in, you know, get herself relaxed a little bit, she did not do it. Crafty Shock might be the one I want in the future. She's Prime. Not thrilled. Yeah,
this comment for She's Prime was a steady 3/8 pole bump. So at 7-5 last time, you know this horse is going to take a pounding in the next start.
No question about it. And I think she may end up being more of a trap than a trip.
I agree. Second race we'll show on the segment here is a 3-year-old filly race from this is from Saturday, I believe. Maiden Claimer 40 down to 35,000. The tags here. We're going to take a look at the 4 code name. This horse a second-time starter, breaking a little slow here. Ramon Dominguez and Carlos Martin.
Yeah, had a little bit of trouble at the start. The thing about code name in this race, code name was very, very heavily betting here. I mean, he got bumped a little bit at the start, and this is trainer Carlos Martin. It's kind of a move that he's had a few horses with, but he was 4 for 6 with second-time starters going maiden special weights to maiden claim in this race. This horse was 5 to 1 in the race, and what happens is you can go off the picture right now is code name, and I think that she lost all position at the start. Now, the eventual winner, Broke Well, is right in front of her now. However, that horse broke well and sort of eased back on her own, but code name, in my opinion, opinion. Lost all position to start, makes a wide, sustained run in the race. She loses by about 2 lengths for all the money, and I think Codename absolutely would have won this race if she broke cleanly.
We have a little bit of a disagreement going here because I don't know. I'm not so sold on this being a great effort from Codename here. You know, the fact that no rhyme or reason came from off the pace. I know a couple of the horses that were up on the pace stayed around here, but you know what? This is a horse that just seems to me to be, you know, not idling through the stretch and gaining a little bit of ground here, but just not surging hugely on the outside. I don't know. With this kind of trip in here, I'm inclined to let Codename beat me. I think this was the spot where Codename was supposed to be ready to go and in for the tag second time out next time if that's where she comes back. And then, I don't know, I'd be willing to get a bet against her next time.
I agree that this was the time she was supposed to win, and it's tough to get them ready to win the next time they're supposed to win today, and she should have won this race. However, I realized that she ended up right behind the winner on the backstretch, but the winner didn't have any trouble. The winner broke well and just relaxed back there, while Codename had the trouble and was back there because of the trouble to start. And while she broke about a length slowly and was bumped, I think she lost all position. I do understand what you're saying, though. She was supposed to win this race, and it depends what price she is. She's not that good a horse, but she's probably going to meet a similar field in her next start.
Yeah, price will have to dictate how you go on for this horse, I think, definitely.
If she met the same group of horses, I think 3-1 would be generous, personally.
Next race we'll do here in the first segment is a maiden claiming race. This race from Saturday as well. 3-year-olds, 15,000 New York breds going a mile on the inner track. The 7 Prado's Note and the 4 Call Michael. This is a race we did on Inside Racing over last weekend. We're going to see Prado's Note, the 7, break a little slowly there beneath Channing Hill. And you know, this is a horse that had run a couple times in sprints. First time going long for Prado's Note. So you would have expected Prado's Note to break with the field here. Yeah,
Prado's Note just seems to be a horse that finds trouble. Found trouble in his last start, and certainly the bad break and dropping back in the field gets towards the inside, but also we'll see some trouble that Call Michael has. Is between horses there in the sort of greenish silks, number 4.
Going to get bounced around a little bit as things get tight going into the first turn. You see jockey CC Lopez bouncing up and down in the irons there, and toward the back of the pack we have still have the number 7 Prado's Note. And now Prado's Note, as we pick this up back into real speed, is going to have to steady in that spot right there. Cost him
behind Call Michael.
Behind Call Michael. So, and believe it or not, this isn't it for the trouble for these two horses. They're both going to get into significant trouble at another point in the race, and we're going to see down toward the back of the pack on the inside, the 7 Prado's Note kind of getting back on the screen there. We're going to see Prado's Note making a premature move down the backstretch here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Channing Hill is rushing this horse up on the inside the backstretch, and I understand his want to get position here. The problem is when you're going inside the backstretch, and I'm sure sometimes it looks clear, but as what happens to Prado's Note is it doesn't stay clear. Call Michael will continue getting a good trip from this point until we get to the stretch, but you'll want to watch him in the stretch, and we'll highlight him a little bit later. But Prado's Note, who's seemingly moving right into the race up the rail, that will change in about a stride or 2.
Prado's Note's going to be affected here as they move into the second turn. Actually, it looks like I couldn't tell if the other horse came over or what happened there, but Prado's Note certainly looked like he clipped heels there and stumbled. Jockey Channing Hill did a good job to stay aboard there, and you see Call Michael get some position there on Prado's Note, and Call Michael, the 4 horse, now into 4th in a good pocket position here if you can get room through the stretch.
Absolutely. At this point, everything's gone really well for Call Michael, who we're going to highlight here, except for the little bit of trouble in the turn. And that wouldn't have been major trouble had he, of course, been able to split. And you want, at this point, the horse in the lead to drop the rail and be able to get around him. Well, that doesn't happen. He tries to go inside and really gets completely sawed off and loses any further chance in the race. Prado's Note, of course, is still behind horses and has absolutely nowhere to go. He can't get into the outside, and you wonder at this point, Channing Hill must be so frustrated. He can't believe he's going to get anything anyway, and he ends up actually finishing a close 3rd in this race.
I thought both horses ran well. Call Michael seems to me the type of horse that's not push button. Took him a little while to get back going. He makes a good rally to be second, and Prado's Note, after all that trouble, finishes 3rd there. So, you know, both horses had a lot of trouble in this race, but you know what? I think their troubles are going to be well documented. There'll be short prices next time out. I'm not so sure these horses are in traps.
Right, and they're not that good. I wouldn't mind if there was a new face running against them next time. Don't move them up too much next time they run. That does it for the first episode of Trips and Traps. Thanks for watching.
And we'll be right back with the second segment right after this.